at Daytona. Myself, Cody Webster, and Michael Campbell bringing it to you live in the booth.
Wasn't it just season 2 like 4 days ago?
Yeah, it was. No time wasted at all. Definitely, definitely not.
I mean, we were just in Vegas and now we're right back here in Daytona and we'll be right back in Vegas next week. So it's just
Well,
nonstop.
you did say leave just all your Vegas trucks at Vegas because we're gonna be right back.
They're locked up. It's all good.
Well, the winning truck better be locked up over there. I believe that Bryson Clark. I don't know if we took Bryson Clark's truck to some special place to hide it, but
I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure he's made sure that truck is being paid attention to before we go back there next week. But business at hand. We're here at Daytona. First race of the season. Huge turnout so far. What a large turnout for this race this evening. It's quite the feel and a lot of new faces here as qualifying is currently underway. About another 7 minutes or so left on the clock. A lot of times and a lot of people here tonight. Great to see a huge turnout tonight.
it's going to be different. I mean, last season starting Daytona, I think we spoke earlier. We only had like 14 people, and I think I counted before. I think we got close to 35, which is amazing. Definitely amazing. Definitely a great turnout. I'm pleased to see that many people show up and want to be interested in running this season. So it's definitely going to be a great race, and I'm definitely looking forward to see how the season progresses. But first things first, Daytona. Like,
Well, I was sitting here watching practice actually, and just kind of getting a feel for things, seeing people work together. And what I was noticing was a lot of people were working together with people that weren't on their teams. Which this season we do have teams here in the All Star League. People were kind of finding each other, seeing who they can work well with, finding partners, because you can't be assured that you're going to qualify next to your teammates or next to people you know. So you have to make friends out here if you want to try and last and make a run toward the end of this race.
yeah, it well, we have so many new rules too. It's just not just who you're going to work with and everything. It's just you got many different things that you got to look for, like the whole new 20 incident limit, and even bringing Daytona, like that's not a lot, you know. And you got two fast repairs too, so you just gotta, man, just everything. All the new drivers, new faces, learning everybody the first week. It's gonna be a lot different when we go to Las Vegas, but Daytona is just definitely it's a whole different animal, and it's
This
not
is
that long of a race either. 60 laps
this
is
is
really not.
quite the orientation for a lot of the drivers coming in here. A lot, like we said, a lot of new faces, some returning faces that we haven't seen in the league in a while, coming back for this race. It's going to be a packed field, probably one of the largest fields the All Star League has fielded in a long time, if not ever. This is a very large turnout. Looking at scoring coming in, still seeing about 14 times put up on the board. We had about 20 plus times logged in practice. So we're still seeing people float in. We're still seeing those times trickle down the board. We'll give you a full update on qualifying and where everyone shakes out once we conclude with qualifying here in about 4 minutes' time.
Yeah, it's funny. You look at top of the board right now. I know it's still got 4 minutes left, but you see Jason just up there, man. He's been quick. New guy to the league, but he's been quick every week. Last season, end of last season, we had him run out of fuel just coming to the start finish line, losing a race. But he's been up there every week, so it's pretty cool to see him here and man, just showing him how strong he is. And even though it's Daytona, every bit counts, man. Every bit.
I think that in this situation, the short off season or quote unquote off season benefits drivers like Bryson Clark and Jason Odom who are in the league, they're established, and they can just keep the momentum they had from last season, which ended on Thursday, and bring that right into this race on Monday and just keep that energy high and hopefully translate that to a strong finish here in this race because, as we'll probably discuss during the course of the race, every point matters. Every point you can get your hands on during the course of the season, even at tracks like this, matter toward the big picture of making the playoffs. And for someone like Bryson, getting getting that second championship, or for someone like Jason, getting their first this season.
Well, I mean, it's not like real NASCAR where you win and you're in, so you kind of just gotta like point your way in, type of deal. Just be
Right.
consistent all season. But man, what a momentum swing it would be if you come out here just win Daytona and just shove it in everybody's face for that 1 week. Just know that you're just on top just for
Right.
a solid week. So, we'll have to see who comes out victorious in the end. But hopefully it'll be a great show. I mean,
Hopefully, looking at these qualifying times here, again, this is fixed setup. So, looking at the times as they stand right now, about 9 drivers are within a tenth of each other. So, very close right now in terms of the times. Still waiting for everything to kind of shake out. Those last few people, those last stragglers who might be waiting to the absolute last second to get that lap in. About 16 times on the board so far. Like I said, it's going to be a pretty quick
looks
pace
like we have.
race.
I mean, 16 guys qualified, and I just happened to briefly look at the who's in here, and it looks like we have almost 38 guys in here, and that's wild. That's
That's a
definitely.
tremendous field.
I,
And it, it's going to be interesting because as we get ready to wrap up qualifying here in a minute and a half, watching the drivers on the track with the setup. So I noticed some trucks seem like, I don't know if it was the driver just having issues getting settled or if it was a situation where the setup just wasn't working for them. There was a bit of a loose condition for some of these drivers as they were working through some of the corners. And it was causing them to maybe get closer to that apron than they wanted to, or causing them to have issues accepting bumps as they're going on the backstretch. And it did result in some incidents there, particularly around turns 3 and down the backstretch. So it's going to be interesting seeing how those drivers who maybe aren't feeling too comfortable with the setup settle in and try and stay out of trouble to maybe try and survive to the end of the race. And then those drivers who are settled, how aggressive they're going to be to push their trucks toward the front and get as many laps led as they possibly can, entering the final minutes of qualifying here
well,
at Daytona.
you got to think there's also a lot of bonus points up at stake. Just in general, you got most laps led, you got pole, you got a lap led, you got trying to stay incident free, which here is gonna be tough. You got
It'll be
your
tough, but it's not impossible. That
biggest
did happen
mover
at
too.
Daytona.
You'll see a lot of guys with a chance at the biggest mover in the race. And then you get the stage points. At lap 30, you get them. Halfway points we call them now. So
Right,
but there's no caution for it, so they just race
right.
it out. So you got to see what the fuel, it,
I'm sh-
it's gonna be it's a mixed bag of things. What people really want to sacrifice for, really want to win, or and then you also have $10 up for grabs for the win each week. So
there's gonna be a lot on the line here. It's gonna be interesting to see that. And we'll be talking about all those dynamics during the course of the race. But right now, it looks like our pole sitter is going to be Jason Odom, coming off a great season 2. He's going to follow it up with a great pole time here of a 50.259. Great run, great lap for him. He was looking fast in the final stages of practice. If I'm not mistaken here, looking at his times here, he was pretty dang quick in practice. Great run for him, so I'm very excited to see how he performs on the front row. Chad Oxendine is going to be his partner on the front row for the start of this race.
now I'm gonna go speak to them trackside real quick, and just make sure everything's good to go. We'll just see how the race unfold. But I will be right back.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for coming out. We do have 35 guys in here racing. So, with that being said, 60 laps. Please do me all a favor and just take it easy. You got a long way. No one wants to wreck out on lap 1, 2, 3, anything like that. So just let's try to make the end of the race. First race of the season. Long season ahead. $10 up to grab tonight. That's pretty much it. You got 2 fast repairs, so if you do happen to wreck, get it in there and get it repaired. Every point will matter this season. So thank you guys. So far been a pleasure seeing you guys out there qualifying and practicing. So hopefully the race will be great. So, and also one thing, if I do happen to see anybody blinking, I'll give you guys a little warning. Just to move out of the way, just to give people space. And if it keeps on happening, I'll probably have to give you a black flag to go get it situated. But have fun, good luck, and thank you guys for coming out. And also, I will post the Twitch right now.
Good luck all. Let's have some fun.
Foster's been trying to log in, can't get in.
All I am back.
Yeah, good luck, guys.
All right, so getting settled in, the drivers are all ready to go, rolling out onto the track here. It should be a very interesting 60 laps here at Daytona International Speedway. The sun has gone down. It's a cool 81 degrees here, only 1 degree cooler than when we were in practice. 81 degree track temperature. This should be gearing up for a very interesting race here at Daytona.
Well, it's gonna be definitely interesting and see how everything unfolds. We do have 35 guys. It's gonna be a hell of a show. So we'll just have to wait to see how it all unfolds and see how easy people take things. I mean,
and there's a lot of people who chose not to set a time during qualifying, including some people who were pretty fast during the course of the practice earlier in the afternoon. So we'll see how they decide to work through this field. Like I said, they got 60 laps to get this done. And there is no stage caution like we had last season, so they can't bank on getting a free caution to get things done. If they want to move up to the front, they might need to get to work now. They can't bank on a caution that's going to kind of help them out there.
No, definitely not. And I want to say thank you to all my viewers right now. I think I've hit my high of I just saw 18 viewers, so I appreciate you guys watching and enjoying this. So this is a great start of the season, man. 35 drivers and 18 viewers. I'll take it.
Well, we're going to sit here with the viewers and wait for that pace car to make the hard left turn on the pit road, which I said a lot last race. Hope I don't see as much as this race. We're green here at Daytona.
Green.
This should be a very interesting race. I'm hoping that things go relatively smoothly, but this is Daytona. I don't know if there's a full moon. I hope there isn't, because we saw what happened last time there were full moons at racetracks. We hope things go pretty calmly. As we see a nice little pack here, about 7 trucks toward the front, and a little bit of a gap there to 4 more behind him as he exits turn 2.
Looks
Jason
like
Odom continue to lead him.
Yeah, Odom's going to lead them right now on the inside line, and we got the 106 and Chad Oxenine on the outside with the 95 following him.
I think what we're going to see here is people try and test things out, see which line is going to move in. During practice, we saw a lot of people stick to that bottom, but a couple of drivers float out there to the outside and try and make that outside line work, but not really much happened there. It was kind of, they kept them level with the inside, so we'll see if some of those drivers who are known for making the outside line work get up there and get things going.
Well, it's interesting. Like, it's not like Talladega, so 3 wide is a little more hairier here. So how many guys are actually going to take that risk? I mean, I don't think they're going to take it that early, but you'll never know. You really won't know until someone actually gets up there. But right now, good side by side. Looks like Jason's losing a little bit of pushing help from Will, 37.
Well, that's that classic situation of if you don't have that truck right up on you nose to tail, you're going to lose that momentum. And you saw that high line there with the 106 and the 95. They just raced by him down the super straight into turn 3, able to bring the 3 with him and drop down to the inside and get that position. That puts the 106 out front with the 95, the close and tail, and then a whole herd of cars behind them going across start-finish line.
Right now, we got probably a front pack of looks like probably 18 trucks deep side by side. So good, clean racing so far. The one thing you got to worry about with the trucks is they overheat really quick.
That's something I brought up when I was kind of just looking at my notes here, getting ready for this race. Understanding the balance between being a great pusher, being that guy who just wants to push the person he's working with to the front or push them to the next position, but looking out for your own truck and understanding that when that button starts blinking, you got to back out of it, and you got to do it in such a way that you can get some clean air on that car, but also not lose track position. That's a very delicate balance to play when you're going about a $180 around this track.
Right now, it's really anybody's game, you know. With overheating, you just gotta have the right guy in front of you. You just know, I'm overheating. You shout it out. They just do the quick switch, but it's really hard to do when you're side by side. You just see the line just lose a lot of momentum because you gotta let off.
Right.
And you see how like the front 2 on the outside and the inside are sucked up, and you got a gap back to the third guy on each line, kind of just laying there. That's probably the best case scenario. Give that second guy to back up a little bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So right now, I really see this as we're watching the 106 and the 3 battle for the kind of the lead there, hoping their line prevails over the other. We're seeing a lot of gentlemanly racing, very just give and take. okay, this is fine, not a lot of fighting for position. I think these drivers understand the nature of this race. It's early, they got a lot of time left in this race. There's no need to try and put their trucks in unnecessary places of danger during the course of what is, in theory, a long race. You got plenty of laps left, several dozen laps left to make your move. And we're seeing things kind of thin out a bit, but still got 2 packs there as we see one truck there kind of step off to the side there.
All the way down.
Yeah, so I want to follow up on him, but we still got 4 trucks, about 4 trucks to the low side, a part of that primary low line there. Kind of a broken up higher line there, made up of 5 trucks as they go through 3 and 4. The 106 continuing to lead with this somewhat, I guess you'd say, current partner, the 95 there on the low side, the green and black truck, and the 37 close in tow with the 18 following him.
No, it is funny, with this setup that we have here, you don't know if the tires are really going to wear, but you see these trucks moving around a lot more just in the center. It almost looks like the trucks are just a little loose. I don't know. I just feel like they're uneasy to drive, and Daytona is usually not that track to sit there and say, well, you know, you don't have to worry about tires. But
I think the word uneasy is accurate there. We see a truck still at the pace there on the backstretch there. I think the word uneasy is perfect to describe these trucks. They are drivable. We see the driver, they've maintained this side-by-side racing for going on 7 laps now. But it's a balance there. The truck just seems a little bit unsettled for a lot of these drivers, particularly in the middle of the corner and maybe down the back straightaway when they're getting that shove from another truck behind them. So that's why these pushes have to be so precise when you're giving them down the backstretch, because you don't want to make someone squirrely and then create, well, we all know what this track is known for. Don't want to create one of those.
Oh, it looks like we just have a side-by-side for the front. Yeah, never mind. It looks like probably the front 5 rows and then a string of cars just out back.
Yeah, things are kind of thinned out there a little bit. Again, they are somewhat battling a little bit, but they aren't as close. Like I said, they're kind of thinned out there. About a truck and a half, about a truck to half a truck between each car. Kind of just keeping up with the draft enough. So as we get ready to cross about lap 8 here, 7 to 8 here, yeah, 8, making sure I can do math. When it comes to fuel, what is the situation when it comes to fuel for these drivers? What should they be thinking about, knowing that, let's say this goes green, they're not going to get that guaranteed stage caution on lap 30?
I think they can only go like 18 laps. As we have a lap car, looks like up front.
So this will be the first challenge for these drivers, is paying attention and getting around this lap car here and doing this in such a way that doesn't create more calamity here. Like that 5 truck of Chase Shoulder is going to stay out of the way there. Got a little bit of contact there.
Ooh, little contact.
Little contact there between the 5 and the 10. Because again, that going through that corner at that pace, you got a truck behind you. It gets real narrow there, and we see the 5 truck continue to have some issues there.
Looks like he just lost the draft early. The thing that sucks here, you got a pack of 30 guys running together. They're flying. You know,
right. So for someone like him, he's kind of, and we got an incident. We got an incident in turn 1, like the 81 hooked the 13 there in turn 1. Chase involved. We got a bunch of trucks back there toward the back involved in that incident. We're under caution for the first time this race on lap 9. Looking back on it from my perspective, I was actually tracking Chase as we were talking there. Looks like they were just coming through the corner there, and the 13 of Zach Hillman got to the inside of the 81 truck as they were working past the 5 there. And as the 13 was passing that 81 truck, just, I don't know if you could say it was net code or something, that just got hooked up toward the wall there in turns 1 and 2, and just got collected straight up into the back of Chase Shoulder and created a big crash there, catching our champion up in that as well. He didn't get a lot of damage. He was hooked in it, but again, that was an early incident from a situation where a lap car, they were trying to work by him, and just some contact there between the 81 and the 13 results in a big crash through turns 1 and 2, collecting a lot of guys.
It looks like it's going to be on the 81, as I have to go let everybody know to stay on the right-hand side of pit road. Guys, just in pit road, just make sure you stay to the right-hand side of pit road until 3 pit boxes before your pit stall. Thank you.
All right, so this is the first pit stop of the race for these guys. Should be interesting to see how they attack this situation. Let's see if we'll do tire situation, see if anyone will experiment with 2 tires or no tires. be interesting. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as we get ready to watch the guys make their first pit stops here at Daytona.
Also, that caution will be on the 81. Came down, crowded to 13, and just got bumper hooked to the outside wall of 13 did. So we get an EOL after pit stops, the 81.
And the 106 leads the field on the pit road for the first time this evening.
Please
Like I said,
slower
we'll
this,
see.
slower than pace, guys.
We'll see
Come on.
this time if anyone decides to play strategy, play around with the tire situation, see if anyone wants to try 2 tires, no tires, things like that, to possibly learn some information for later in the race.
Oh, we're gonna see who comes off a pit road. Looks like Zach missed his pistol, and the 3 is off pit road right away.
3's off pit road already.
37.
And then Jason Odom with 37's already out. So a lot of people like they're trying some strategies here. Noticing some 5.7 time stops, some 8.7, some 9.2s. That gives me the impression that that's 2 tires, maybe even a no tires in there, just some fuel for that 5.7
issue
stop.
in pit road. Someone spun sideways. I don't know. I just caught that in the top right-hand corner of my screen.
Yeah,
I was watching the hit exit. Looks like it was the 47. I don't know. That was weird.
Are we having issues like we saw at like we've seen at past races with pit road at Daytona? Let's hope not.
Boy, I have no clue.
I sure hope not. I don't feel like dealing with that today.
Anybody stay out? 03, 26, 03, 13. Probably getting points. Maybe. Like I said, 13 looks like he had issues in pit road. I missed his pistol. But we'll have to see what exactly happened there. If he does come in, if all these guys come in.
That's it. Right now, like I said, just waiting for our scoring to cycle around here. But as we wait for that to occur, like I said, saw a lot of unique strategies here. And looking at those pit stall times, their times in their stalls, actually, 5.7 for 5.7 for BJD, and 8.7 for Jason Odom. Not 6.5 for Will Rodimer. Crazy times. Just people are experimenting, and what better time to do it than now at this stage of the race? But instead of doing it with 10 laps to go and not knowing what you're going to be dealing with, best to do it now and get it out of the way.
Guys, I did have Lucky Dogs on, but unfortunately, iRacing does not want to, I don't know, give it to Nick Miller. So Nick Miller's going to be coming around the outside, so just give him room. Thank you. The leader does have lane choice, too, on the restarts. Sorry about that, Mike.
No, you're fine. Sorry, just Cody's also serving as race control here, so we'll be hearing from race control as we go through the broadcast here. Scoring is cycled around. Looks like Jordan Berry has stayed out there in that 26 truck, so he'll be leading right now with Brad Allison on the outside there. That's P1 and P2. They stayed out. And then the first car among those who pitted would be BJ Deal there in the 3 truck. The 7 of Jason Odom and Will Rodimer. Is that how I spelled it out to that? I need to get with him.
Wildemer, I guess so.
Wildemer? I need to get with him and make sure I'm pronouncing that right. No disrespect to him. In the 37 truck, that is P5 for him. So looking at the field, a lot of the front 4, looks like they took either no tires or 2 tires during that stop, looking at the pit stops there. The first driver, likely on 4 tires, will be the 108. Make sure I'm looking at 106. This font is really small. The 106 there, he's going to be the first truck there with 4 tires. So
now, looking at
we'll
Zach
see
Hillman,
what prevails.
He did probably have issues.
Yeah.
It looks like he had probably more issues. I don't know if he ran out of fuel or whatever. But he does have sponsorship that he wants us to point out. Lionheart junk removal on his truck. Looks like for the full season. So he's gonna be taking that truck. Looks like maybe the pit road has issues, but he does have new sponsors that he does want to shout out. So Lionheart junk removal. Glad to have you on board of the 13 Silverado.
All right, waiting for that pace car to turn its lights off, which it just did. So we'll start seeing the leaders sort out where they're going to restart for this race. Looking at the teams here, it's good to see the new teams coming together, and we see Momentum Sim Racing at the front there, 1-2 on that restart. As the field gets sorted and everyone gets back together here. So again, unlike what we saw last season, we'll see the race stay green if it is in fact green when we get to halfway. There will be no stage caution, so these drivers will have to keep in mind that caution is not going to be there as kind of a fail-safe for them to come in and get tires and not have to maybe worry about fuel strategy, things like that. So maybe that's why we're seeing these drivers experiment with tires and taking them or doing 2 or 4, because you never know, toward the end of this race where you might just need a splash of fuel, you might be able to get away with taking no tires here and maintaining momentum. No pun intended, considering the front row is completely momentum sim racing.
No pun intended at all, but
No, not at all, not at all. If it was, no one would have laughed anyway.
yeah.
All right, pace car and the leaders and the field are cruising through turns forward about 80 miles an hour. Going to be getting ready to go back green here with lap 14 out of 60 here at Daytona. Like I said, we'll see if we get another solid long run going. Like I said, that was a really unusual moment when we had those lap cars. That lap car kind of get mixed up there so early with the leaders there, but we hope to have a long run here. Pace car makes its hard left turn on the pit road. Leader has control of the field, and we're back green here at Daytona.
Yes, we are, and everybody looks like they're starting just as organized as I told them to. Saying before they don't change lanes before the line, and like they're all doing just that.
Settling in as they all race back into turns one and two here. Looking solid right now. Again, this field's kind of got to get back organized, back in the form that they were in before that caution. We saw the leaders at the early stage of this race really get settled in. They were racing, but they were not doing it in such a way that was creating unnecessary risk for one another. They understood that we were at such early stages of this race. I think what we need to be watching right now is how effective is this no tire strategy going to be for the drivers of the 26 and 03.
Definitely track position is going to be key. As you see the 3, if BJ Deal goes up high and get in front of the 03 of Brad Allison, and see if Brad will help him get past his Brad's teammate, which would be interesting. Track position is going to be key. Trying to stay up front. If you can hold up front side by side, not many lanes, really pushing it, it'll definitely work out. But once they start going 3 wide, you can get shuffled so quick. So it's
absolutely. Like I said, it's been very interesting seeing drivers kind of go to the front, float back, and things of that nature. One person I'd note is that 24 truck of Corey Blevins. He was toward the back to start this race, and now he's going toward the front now, working the third car in line on that low side there through 3 and 4. Remember, he had a strong race to close the season back in Vegas and just seemed to be a victim of circumstance throughout that race. The speeding penalty, and then he caught up in some late wrecks, really didn't prove to give the strong finish that he wanted to such a strong start. Looks like he's trying to fix that issue, have a strong run to start the season here at Daytona.
But, yeah, I mean, we'll see. You know, like I said, the Las Vegas, fewer fans there, bringing momentum to this track. As you see, they're getting a little dicey up at the top. 0-3 and 3 almost just about destroyed the front pack.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm sorry I'm late.
And Travis Manning joining us here on the broadcast as the leaders rocket out of turns 3 and 4. So welcome to the race. Hope you got to see some of the action before you came in. So what's your impressions so far as we log our 18th lap here at Daytona?
I am actually honestly still loading in, but I was tuned in as I was listening. It sounds like quite the race, but I do have to tune in. It's
35 drivers we got for this race.
Man, we got some 3 wide-ish action here toward the front. Got the truck lug in the middle there, the 106. Like he's just kind of being hung out to dry there, coming through 1 and 2. Just no one wanted to really work with him, and he's just going to the back right now.
Oh, well, we got 3 wide, 26 in the middle with the 106.
I hate being that guy, but it is a little too early to be doing this 3 wide racing. And if you look at the back of the pack behind them, I think even they are aware of it, because you look at how much they've gapped that field. Look back there at Jason Odom in the 7. They've kind of backpedaled a little bit. They see what's going on in front of them, and they're like, look, this is well, all good and all, but we really don't need to be getting 3 wide on lap 18 and 60.
Not lap 18 and 60. You gotta get through a pit stop here. At least 2, I think. 2 more probably.
Yeah, we see there's a lot of shifting around back here, especially toward that middle and rear pack. A lot of shifting around, and when you start having those line changes and people shifting around, that can contribute to kind of those incidents like we saw back there as we see the 3 kind of getting lined there. The back of the pack kind of getting single file now, with a few double wide battles back there toward the rear of this pack. But things like they're kind of quieting down a bit, some single file racing here. So everyone's like, all right, let's breathe, let's calm down.
They're coming up
Let's
to
get back
another lap
in.
truck too, but luckily this time they're single file most part. And Travis, I do want to mention, now we're up to 21 viewers, so this is great. This is
Oh, awesome! This is awesome. Well, thanks everybody for joining.
Yeah, this is definitely wild. Wild that we got many guys and many viewers too.
Quite a breakthrough night for All-Star Racing, sounds like.
Hell yeah, we definitely got.
Repeat, lap car is staying high.
Got definitely as the lap car is announcing he's staying high. They got Dave Miller. Definitely got everything going in the right direction for All-Star Racing.
Awesome.
So these trucks look great as they fly toward the start-finish line here. About a third of the way through the Daytona race here. Like I said, we're settling in. The mindset now starts to shift to those pit stops again as we see everyone work past the lap cars. Now, after we had that caution, everyone was thinking about going to pit road, had the caution, have a reset there. Now you gotta get your mind back in the mindset of, all right, I gotta go to pit road. How am I gonna do this in such a way that I have a partner? Am I near a teammate? And how can I do it without possibly causing a wreck?
And we see, looks like 18 go to the lead, and then the 10 dipped underneath him. What a move to try to take the lead in turn 3 and 4.
He's just behind, and they were looking to go 3 wide, going through turns 3 and 4. I can't tell who that is from. We got in the wall, in the wreck, and here we go.
Got a big wreck off turn 4. Big wreck, a few cars involved there.
Not
Back
many.
under caution here.
Not many were involved. That was a big one.
Well, when you have a field of like 20 plus cars.
Check.
I'll tell you what, for as big as a field as this is, to only have 3 involved in that incident was very fortunate for most of those guys.
Yeah, guys, that caution will be on the 47. Didn't even have to look at it. Got into the wall and bounced off the wall and got into the 106. Great racing so far. Appreciate it all. Really great racing.
If you guys give me 1 minute, I do have to switch my settings around here.
So we're back under caution here for a second time this evening.
2
That was
cautions
just,
in 21 laps. That's not bad. Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. Like I said, we saw that was just one of those incidents. Like I said, you just bounce off that wall and you kind of just a ping pong ball at that situation.
It
You just
almost
go,
looked like he followed the
shoo.
guy in front of him because he was getting
Yeah.
high and just didn't
So
work
now-
out.
So now, yet again, I just mentioned you guys don't think about pit stops. Now, again, you have that reset. So the drivers now have to come on pit road and decide, was it a good idea to go ahead and stay out? Was it a good idea to go ahead and pit and take no tires? Be interesting to see what strategy we see now after we've watched a kind of a mini run of these drivers actually go for tires, no tires, and or just fuel, things like that. As we see the 10 truck leading the field on the pit road.
And we're gonna go to the pit lane view. Check
Come
her
across.
out. Who's the gonna be the lucky dog? Who's the first car lap down so I can give it to you guys? I should just let me know if it does or not.
All right, the cars are hitting their stalls here. We'll be keeping an eye on those pit stop times. That really gives us an indication and a sense of what these drivers are planning and what they're doing in terms of strategy. Looks like the 37, that's going to be easily probably a no tire stop. The 18 not far behind, got a 5.9, a 5.7 stop, a 7.1. A lot of 2 tires, a lot of a couple no tires, and some 2 tire stops in there. So these drivers are understanding, hey, these tires aren't wearing very much. We can kind of get away with just doing a no tire or a 2 tire stop here and making our stuff last.
Zach Hillman will be back on the lead lap after announcing his sponsorship on that truck, so hopefully he'll get back into contention, and we'll see him back up there. A lot of crazy action so far, definitely, and but
I think it's going to be. I think this race. I think as we get kind of sorted back here, wait for our scoring to get back situated after the pit stops. What's interesting here is looking at this field. We have a large field of cars here. A lot of people turn out for this race. Would you believe last season, there were only 4 cars left on the lead lap based on the field size there? We only had 4 cars left on the lead lap for last season's season opener at Daytona.
and
We're about a third of the way through this race, and if all goes well, hopefully we have more cars finishing the lead lap that race.
yeah, we still have. I don't know what your scoring says. How many guys are still running? I know all the guys that are lap down are still running, so I don't know about guys more than 1 lap down, but I think we have pretty much everybody but except 2.
That's about right. Like so, things are kind of cycling out here. They're about to cross start finish line. That's when we'll get that real fresh data as they cross the scoring loop for like lap 22 to 23. I have that fresh data there. So easily, about 15, 20 guys easily still running right now. Watching things cycle through, about 20 right now, looks like. Probably even a little more, closer to maybe 25 to 30 as we keep looking at things. Just kind of waiting for things to keep refreshing and cycling as we have pit stops going on. Now, we've had 2 cautions here so far.
Yes.
One only involved a couple trucks, like 3 trucks there. The other involved a few more. What's interesting is, as the business begins to pick up here at Daytona, will we see those cautions become a little more prolific and become a little more, I guess, involved in terms of numbers of cars? Because when you look back at last year, the total number of incidents, which remember, this season is a hard cap for all drivers of 20 incidents or you're out of the race. Total, the number of incidents that occurred were 124 across all the trucks involved. So this large field,
Obviously, he's going to up it, but...
But what if it doesn't? What if this race with a larger field ends up having fewer incidents than a race that has a smaller field? Could be interesting. It's an interesting question to ask as we approach about just short of halfway. Which, yet again, I don't think we talked about. Remember, there is no stage caution. At the end, once we reach that lap 30 benchmark, once we reach halfway, we will continue to be racing, and wherever they are running at the time of lap 30, that halfway point, those top 10 drivers will get those stage points. So
yeah, it's interesting. You see Anthony Keysweater, he actually stayed out. I think he stayed out. I didn't see him in pit road, and I think he realizes, oh, we got 5 laps when we go green. He'll lap 30. Although the points up to grab.
To my knowledge, actually, he pitted.
Oh, he did.
And if I'm looking at the data here, he had a 5.9 stop, so that was probably a fuel-only stop for that 34 truck.
Oh,
If I'm not mistaken, that should have been a fuel-only. The 37 as well had a 5.7, and the 18 also had a 5.9. So those are pretty quick pit stops, probably reminiscent of those taking very few tires, if any, and just some fuel to get to the next part of this race.
And we also want to give a big shout out to OSM. We have quite a few drivers in here from OSM racing with us. We got Nick Lavelle, Austin Derbyshire,
81, you're on the top.
Greg Thompson, and well, if you count us, you got myself, Mike Campo, and Travis Manning all in here, supporting this deal. So great to see them.
Don't forget about the number.
Very well represented.
Don't forget about the guy leading the race right now, the number 4 of Anthony Keysweater.
Yeah, the number
He's
34,
also part of it.
Yeah, I forgot. Yep. Running his old paint scheme with DUI. So.
Sitting P3, Austin Derbyshire, he's also with the OSM crew. You got Jeff Palmer in the 33 sitting in P7.
Yeah.
He is also with the crew.
So
Gregory Thompson
the whole entire bottom line right there.
Yeah, it looks like OSM
34, 64, 84,
field, so.
33, and a 08, all bottom line. And then you get the 9 on the outside over there, so be interesting.
Here they come back to green.
Back on the green, lap 25 here at Daytona. Let's see how things shake out. The stage, that mid-race checkpoint where everyone gets, the top 10 gets those bonus points, and is approaching quickly, so we'll see if anyone tries to jockey for position to get those points early in the season. They'll matter as we get closer to the end and closer to race 20 on the schedule.
Well, I mean, right now it'll be definitely the top 10 stays the way it does, which obviously probably not.
This is Daytona. I mean, this lineup will change by the second as we continue to watch everyone race their way down a super straight into turn 3.
As we see the 18 battling with the 37 now.
This is a battle for points. Like, while this is a battle for the win, right now these are points. There are points on the line, and the drivers know that they're going to be getting scored in a few laps of where they are. Those top 10 will get those bonus points. That will, I'm sure, once we get later in the season, when they're looking at their tallies, they'll look back at Daytona and said, I'm glad I pushed and got myself into that position on lap 30 to get those points because they mattered right now at X race to make the playoffs or to clinch their spot, things of that nature, as we watch things continue to unfold down the backstretch.
64 blinking a little bit, just giving you a heads up. That's a Austin know he's blinking?
Of all the tracks you don't want to be blinking, this is definitely one of them. As we see the front two get single file there. The 7 and the 24. Great run by the 24. I know I keep bringing him up, but considering his first performance there at Daytona, at Las Vegas last week to end the season, to see him come back and run so strong today, great way to rebound from the performance he had last week.
And as Cody had mentioned, the 64 of Austin Dobshire has dropped off the pace due to the blinking issue.
So that he took care of that. It looks like a lot of guys waiting in the back now. That we had a lot of issues. Well, not many issues. The 2 cautions probably scared a few guys.
Right now, if you look at this pack of cars kind of clustered together toward the front, that's 11 cars roughly right there. So that is your battle for those stage points there.
Well, I do want to.
Interesting to.
Well, yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if anybody else comes up there. But I also do want to give a shout out to. Look who's back. I think in 11th right there. The number 11, Bill Harkin.
It's good to see him running well again because I did watch him in practice. I watched him do some group drafting there during the practice session as we quickly approached lap 30. It seemed that his truck really wasn't behaving the way he wanted it to. And to see him running a lot more stable, I noticed he's running toward the higher side of the track. Maybe that's where the truck feels a little more comfortable for him. But it's good to see he's finally finding the footing of where he wants that truck to run. And as we see him get involved in a little bit of 3 wide action there,
Oh boy.
seeming like he's a little more stable than where he was about a half hour to an hour ago in practice.
So we got 3 wide. Is this coming to lap 30 or 29?
Coming to lap 29.
Oh, as they get a squeeze play, 94.
They're still battling 3 wide right now. This
One
is
lap to go into the halfway point, and right now it looks like Jason is leading the pack. Wow.
So things are getting saucy up here toward the front. But right now, Jason Odom has a pack behind him. He has to keep an eye on that high side because they could form up and start rocketing by him. But he got the 24 and the 18 and the 37 coming to help as they work down the back straightaway.
I was going to mention as we were coming to the white flag, the number 24,
Oh!
Corey Blevins, has been pushing, and we got trouble.
Really?
We got trouble going into turn 3. Multiple trucks pile up. You got the number 11 of Bill Harkins involved.
Wow.
Oh, man.
That's going to take out a lot of guys.
There's
Oh.
37 of Will Romdemer involved. The 03. Oh, man. Wow, that took out a large chunk of the field. The 03 of Brad Allison. The 04 of Ezekiel Reyes. Wow, that took out a lot of drivers.
It just looks like, the 17 came up and got the 33. And that's
Oh,
a
man. The
bad-
17, your defending champion,
Wow.
Bryson Clark, triggered that as you go 3 wide. As you said, he had slid up into the 33, and from there it was all downhill. 3 wide wasn't going to last much longer. It looks like the 08 of Gregory Thompson got involved. Guys, I don't know if there were many trucks that did not get
Cody, was
involved
that
in that.
I can guarantee
there,
that the top
or was it
6 did
across
not
the
get
line
involved in that. They were able to drive away from that pretty comfortably.
I'm telling you, but you know, that is,
Come again.
that's the thing.
I missed that.
I'll go over everything in a nutshell real quick. That was on the 17 of Bryson Clark came actually up into the 33 and hooked him into the field. Good racing so far. I knew the racing was going to get a little tense coming to lap 30. Eric Andrews, congratulations on the midway checkpoint 10 points you got there for lap 30. And then the top 10, Jason, Corey, Matt, BJ, Carl, Greg, Bryson, Anthony, and Jeff. Congratulations to all you guys for getting points at lap 30.
Am I allowed to get away for getting completely screwed over in that wreck and having to tow?
No waves are given out. Only the lucky dogs. I apologize. Following rules strictly.
81 coming out of turn 4 there. It looked like they were running side by side. The 81 had hooked the left rear of the 88 of Preston Jacobs. The 81 of Jason Deal. It looked like they just made a little bit of contact.
Looks like a lot of guys will be able to drive around, but man, if you got a tow here, ugh.
I was gonna say, I saw that a lot of guys had, even though their trucks were still in a running condition, they had, a lot of them had elected to go ahead and tow. And, guys, I see here that our leader, the number 7, Jason Odom, stayed
that's just at the
out.
end of the backstretch
Yes,
right now.
yes, he did.
Ugh.
I mean, it's not unusual to see anyone stay out. So far, we've seen it happen a couple of times this race, on older tires, even around lap 12, lap 14 old tires. So it's not unusual to stay out. And if he feels his truck is in a position where he can take advantage of these current tires and feel like he can keep his track position, I don't see there being a disadvantage of staying out.
Well, we'll have to see exactly how everything.
We got a lot of things to shake out here. That wreck really shook things up here, especially basically 7th on back.
Well,
Like I said, the top six
now you got
drivers-
a whole different race. Because now you got the lap 30. So all the guys in their head that knew about lap 30, and everybody should have, at one of those points. Well, now you basically like, all right, well, gotta ride around for another 30 laps until you want to race again. So we'll have to see. And the thing with how the things with that, how that all happened, we had guys up there
Hey,
that
Bill, how many laps?
took no tires and got up there. So
Right.
there were different guys up there, but
Well, now we're in a situation where it's kind of a reset. You're resetting yourselves and getting ready for the second stanza of this race as we sit here with 29 laps to go. You know things are going to ramp up. I've won here at Daytona before in this race, won last season. You understand that things are going to ramp up, and sometimes you have to have luck on your side. You got to be in the right place at the right time and avoid the trouble. Looking at what happened in that wreck, the top 6 were in the right place at the right time and avoided the trouble. Next time, maybe they won't be so lucky. Or maybe there'll be people toward the back who are trying to lay back and wait till later in the run to make their push toward the front. You saw a wreck happen back there early in the race. We really don't know the whims of how Daytona is going to deal its cards to these drivers until they're dealt. And you're kind of just along for the ride, but as a driver, you're doing what you can to control your race and keeping a mindful out of your windshield to stay out of trouble. So we're seeing drivers like Jason Odom really do a good job of that. Corey Blevins as well, BJ Deal, do a pretty good job of staying out of trouble here. As we see Jason Odom take the hard left turn toward pit road.
a lot of these guys maybe topping off. I mean, we're just riding in the back. They got what they wanted. They put themselves up there.
Absolutely.
And it's great because the 95 and 18 and the 3 even have been up there all race. I can't even knock Corey Blevins either because he's been up there. And Anthony, they've been racy. They haven't been laying back. And look, the 106 is back up there. He was good in the beginning too before he got into a little scuffle. So you see the guys that, I mean, granted, a lot of guys are laying back, but they are staying up there.
I think now is a time for these drivers to decide what kind of race they want to have going into these final just 20 odd laps. Do you all want to have a race where you're racing door to door and risk having another huge wreck where it kind of collects a lot of the drivers and takes out a lot of the field? Or do you want to put yourself in a position where you say, look, we understand the picture we're in right now. We're probably going to have to make another pit stop too. That's still in the picture here. It's still in the cards. What do we need to do to get ourselves to lap 60? Do we want to try and lose a race on lap like 40? Lap 50? Or do we want to try and go for the win and have a chance to go for the win on lap 59? It's in their hands as they go through turns 3 and 4. That is the question that all these drivers, especially the ones that got those stage points and those ones that are lurking in the back, maybe kind of waiting, are going to have to weigh as they wait for the pace car to make the hard left turn on the pit road.
Oh, it looks like we're going to be coming to green after our third caution.
Third caution, right there, ironically, at the stage when it would have ended. Back green. So everyone is about to settle in. See the 24 to 95. A nice little jump there. 95 a little bit out front. Got a 24 with him. And the high line starting to try and form up a bit. Got a couple trucks moving down to the low side. 3 trucks a little bit of a breakaway on the high side. 2 trucks a breakaway on the low side as they go through turns 1 and 2. The
Look at the
47
30,
and the
the
34.
30, yeah, the 34 didn't get a good jump. Kind of let the 47 just slide in on the bottom.
And we've been in that situation. We can interpret that from here, watching as maybe not a good jump. Or it could have been a situation with maybe the 34 and the 47 communicated with one another and said, hey, look, I'll work with you. I'm going to drag the brake a bit on this restart. You get in line and let's get to work. So we can extrapolate from the booth and guess that it wasn't a bad start, or this could be completely according to plan for the 47 and the 34.
It's funny how we mentioned about OSM earlier. Look at where they are now. Everybody except Anthony, all in the back.
I mean, they understand the picture. They understand the dynamics of this race. It's about getting to the end. And as the pressure continues to ratchet up in this race, now with only 26 laps to go, as that pressure ramps up, so too do the mistakes. And you don't want to be driving into a huge crash caused by one of those mistakes. You want to be able to control your truck, be able to try and survive, and maybe hope a few trucks don't survive who are involved in the mistake to try and get yourself up there.
Well, now
as the 18 goes out to the front.
What we got, like, looks like 6 rows side by side, 7 rows, and everybody else is, well, now they get side by side back there, but they were single file for a little bit, maybe. But now they're not on each other. You realize that they're not. Oh, as a 47
There's a little bit of room. We saw that apron touch there. Not unusual here at this track. Seen that a lot in practice and seen that still here in the race.
Oh.
And we got a truck getting sideways. We have a crash in turn 2. That's going to put us back under yellow for the 4th time today.
Oh my goodness, guys. And right as I had just finished compiling my list from the last wreck, looking at it, a lot of these guys are back in it. I mean, you think right now I see the 03 truck of Brad Allison, who was, I believe, who was our, he was running 8th place at the time.
Same car, are you coming?
Not to
that,
cross you.
Unfortunately, that 47 is going to be getting a 1-lap penalty. That's his second caution he called today. Never had
not
to
to cut across you guys. Looking back at that, unless I'm wrong, that could have been some serious netcode there if you look at that. Because if you look at how
he did come up.
He came up, but there was still. I could physically, if this were a real track, I could have walked between the space between those two trucks from the camera I'm looking at to
It did look like netcode, so your call. I mean, I did see a gap.
You are the administrator. I am just here on commentary. I'm telling you what I'm seeing.
I saw netcode also, but he did move up the track. But I'll give it.
What truck number was it?
47. Guys, I'm gonna give the 26 to UL. He's getting pushed. Just go to pit road. If anybody got the black flag, just let me know. I'll clear it.
Me, I need a black flag too.
I would have to say that's a netcode incident. He did jump up the track.
He jumped up the track, but there was still a significant gap between. If it's noticeable enough that the TV camera can notice that gap, it's not like a few pixels. That was very noticeable to me. That caught my eye the second I saw it. But while everyone gets caught up on and catches up on the information regarding the wreck, pit road is now open for these guys. We're seeing what the leaders do here. Looks like the front 4 opt to stay out here. So the 18, the 3, the 95, and the 106 looks like they're going
to... Anybody that needs a black flag clear, mic up, one at a time, or text, please. Thank you.
08, 08, 08.
I got disqualified after somebody came down on me. Is that permanent?
Hey Cody, if now that I'm not in the pit, if I gotta do something and I pull over onto the yellow line and the pace car passes me, I won't go left down. We'll go green again. I need well.
Hey, race control, who are you going to give the lucky dog? Because I was ahead whenever they started wrecking, but then the 11 just got by me when the caution came out.
Whoever had it, which would be Bill at the time. That caution, 47 did come up, but it was netcode that got him. I'm just going to say... Usually my second penalty is a 1-lap penalty. Just gonna give a warning just to hold your line straighter in the corners. And that's pretty much it. It was netcode. There was a decent amount of gap in between the 03 and the 47. But just make sure you guys hold your line. But good racing so far, nonetheless. Just trying to make sure everything's going good for you guys.
Do I get a lap back for being DQ'd or no?
Good, by the way.
You said that you got pushed where? In the pit road, or you got pushed to get how did you get DQ'd?
During that wreck, somebody came down, pushed me into the grass.
And DQ'd you? Huh, that's interesting.
How many other guys got caught up in that besides? I'll be sure.
It looks like there's about 10 guys that got caught up in that. So, guys, you still have 20 laps to go, so let's try to keep this green. Be patient. Now, obviously, give more than take. And let's finish this one out. But it's been great racing, nonetheless, though.
Can I get a UO, please? I've wasted my 2 damn faster players, and I can't afford to get caught up in another one.
No, Jason, you look good.
Coming through like a Jason Odom.
We are back. Sorry, my bad.
No problem. As I was saying, those veterans can come in like a Bryson Clark or a Jason Odom, come in and say,
Sorry,
look,
Jason, I couldn't
I've
get on
been
the mic. I don't know
here,
if you
I
heard
was a
me the first
contender,
time.
I ran really strong. This is my championship to win. So it's been some great dynamics here of new drivers versus established drivers here in the All-Star Racing League throughout this race. And this is a preview of what we might see through the season.
And absolutely, and I'm really looking forward to it because there's such a high caliber of drivers here this season to the point where it's going to be really interesting to see how these guys all battle out with each other. I mean, there's a variety of I ratings in here, which makes it interesting though, because a lot of these guys have proved that they can race among each other, and you know, as the season goes on, see the different skill levels collaborate on the track together, especially here at Daytona. You know, for only having the size field that we have here tonight, and to only see these wrecks the way they were, you know, knock on wood. You know, it's been quite the show so far to see. I'm really excited to see how this season moves on forward.
I was like, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, like we see in the chat, Kevin's one of the guys that's not even here, and he could have added it. There's a few guys that couldn't even race tonight. So 33, having 33, and there's quite a few guys that haven't shown their face. Man, I mean, if they show up weekly, it's gonna be crazy. I'll take 20 guys weekly, but hell, they're already going to 33. That's wild.
I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick plug for Kevin Foster here. On my notes I have prepared for this race, I had him down as one of those drivers to watch here at restrictor plates, because Kevin, even though he's not here, he is a very strong restrictor plate racer. He led both races we had last season, including a P2 finish in this race last year. So if he was here, he'd be one of those drivers I'd be looking at to be kind of a leader among these groups of cars, maybe bringing cars to the front, or even getting out front. So maybe when we go to Talladega, definitely want to look out for a driver like Kevin Foster to mix it up here and probably go for a win here, because he's established himself as a very strong restricted plate racer.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Kevin couldn't be here. He's a great guy, great driver. He definitely improved.
I'm probably going to get a black flag because these guys are way too far.
He finished in top 3 last season. He's fantastic, but that's in the past. The present right now is us going green. The flag's in the air, and we're back green here at Daytona. 20 laps to go.
Number 18 of Carl Handwork leads the field with the number 3 of BJ Deals. BJ Deal gets an excellent push from the 90, or what it believes to be the 95 from Eric Andrews as they go to the front of the field.
So single file for the first 4 cars as they all roll through turns 1 and 2. And about 6 or 7 cars now single file as they start to kind of get a little thicker toward the pack there.
My
Yeah, I'll wait
apologies.
for
It
him
was
in
the
last
106
lap.
of Chad Ostendine
Yeah,
who gave BJ Deal that
I was catching the
huge
track
push
real good,
as the number
It's a great
24,
shot.
Corey Blevins,
And then the black flag
has
first.
tucked right
I'm
in.
aware you went by me
And
at
it
full
looks like the
speed.
number 18 of Carl Handwork, who was the leader going to the start of that run. Looks like he's fallen back to the 4th down position, now challenging the number 24 of Corey Blevins for that P3 position.
Yeah, look at that situation there. It looks like the 24 was expecting the 18 to go with him, but in actuality, it looks like the 18 was more or less committed to that bottom line. So he's going to try and work that outside pretty much by himself until that 95. Maybe a couple other trucks can get with him to maybe try and push him out to the front as we get ready to get under 20 laps to go here in the race. Essentially a mix of 2x2 as we go through turns 1 and 2.
And here comes the 95 pushing the number 24 of Corey Blevins, trying to get that outside line rolling. Looks like the number 91 of Willie Everham's with him. Looks like the number 52 of Nick Miller's right behind him. As we got a 4-truck train up on the outside. Jason Odom, if you peek at him in the background, he's trying to figure out which line he wants to go to. Like I said, keep an eye out for him.
And then we look at the guys who got up there. Zach Hellman was a lap down. Nick Miller was a lap down. And they're up there at the front, so when it counts. We still got a lot of racing to go.
There's a lot of racing left to do in this race, and I think people are going to start evaluating when to go ahead and press that go button. And we're starting to see some people press it now, and we're starting to see some people kind of have their thumb hover above it and watch what's going on in front of them before they make the full all-in commitment to going after the win here at Daytona. Because there's still plenty of time left in this race, and knocking on wood, plenty of time for a caution to come out as we see the 106 dip below that yellow line just a hair going into turns 3 and 4 with the 18 on the outside. It's a 5-truck group, 2 cars on the high side, 3 trucks on the low side, going through 3 and 4 with coach 17 to go.
And I was going to say, as you guys were saying that, as Mike, as you were saying, of guys making their move from the back to the front, the back of the field was getting awful dicey there just as you were saying that. So keep an eye on those guys, because a lot of those guys they want to make their way from the back of the field to the front as we are looking at 17 laps to go, 2x2 here at Daytona.
Well, I think we might still have to make a pit stop too, guys. Still might have to make a pit stop.
And now you see that information that drivers gathered during that first run when some drivers took no tires or 2 tires. Now they know how their truck's going to handle. If this race goes green, they're forced to make that pit stop. Expect to see, I'm going to go ahead and call it, you'll see 2 things happen. You'll see some drivers make some mistakes going on pit road because they haven't made a green flag pit stop so far this race. But then you'll see a mix of strategies of no tires, 2 tires. I doubt we'll see any 4 tires, but maybe even a 4-tire stop as these drivers try to get whatever they can and maybe make a run for the win in the closing stages of this race.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a majority of the field take no tires. To me, it wouldn't make sense to take tires at this point of the race, but you never know. Everybody has a little bit of different strategies. We got a truck up in the wall a little more towards the back of the field. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to take a 4-tire stop right now. You know, we're coming to 15 to go this time, and for the guys that do have to pit, say if they're guys out here who do not have to pit, as we remember earlier, Jason Odom was one of those guys who dropped down into pit road on the final lap of, there's a 3 wide, as 52 goes to the 91, he is loose, and 04 goes down, and we got trouble, and they're wrecking.
That's going to put us on a caution here with 15 laps to go, and that pretty much should, for the drivers who were concerned about fuel, that should keep them in a position where they can hopefully make it after the stop. For the drivers who were caught up in that wreck, that is another headache for those guys.
It doesn't look like a lot of guys really wrecked hard.
No, it looked like the 04.
Nick, that was all I
I'm
need, man.
still learning the names here, guys, so be patient with me. But it looks like the 04 of Ezekiel Rise was getting a good push from the number 28, and he had gone to dip down as the 52, looked like he had gotten loose. And whenever the 04 checked up for the 52, getting loose, the 28 didn't really have nowhere else to go except into the back of the 04, and it caused an absolute mess coming out of turn 4.
That's wild. I'm going to go announce that on the 52.
Come on, guys. Seriously, pay attention.
It was a hard hit for that third.
Alright guys, that caution was on the 52. I got loose when in doubt trying to go 3 wide underneath the 91, backed out of it and just caused a whole bottleneck. So I'll be deal all at the pit stops. I mean, I have no problem with the racing. The racing's great, just know your surroundings, use your spotter as best as you can. kill anybody's race. But all I want to say is just you gotta, just know what you're doing. That's it. And just do me a favor when it comes to the chat over the radio. Just keep it down to a minimum unless it's racing. I get things happen during the race, so just, if you have an issue, speak afterwards. Other than that, all race chatter that, should be spoken about.
You get the Will.
Hey, Cody, actually that even on the 50, so I'll go ahead and take that one.
You all the way in the back, no?
Yeah, but I got a hold of the 50 because the 03 decided to jump out in front of us, and
No, the wreck started happening up front. The wreck was for up front.
Good fortune continue in the final stages here.
This will be interesting to see how this pans out. One thing that I had noticed throughout the course of that run was how that front pack stayed fairly mild. They rammed 2x2. They were pushing a little bit. They were shoving, but it was a very mild, I would say, for coming for 16, 15 to go. Typically you get to that point of the race and you see those front guys really sliding around, pushing each other really hard, and they seem very settled down. It was more from, I would say, like the 8th to 10th place area is where it seemed like business was really starting to pick up. And now it seems with a lot of these trucks with damage, I would not be surprised to see almost a top 6, 7, 8 truck breakaway at this point, and it would be down to them.
It's all big picture racing here. It's all about racing for the big picture, understanding that when we go green here, it's going to be around the doorstep with 10 to go. Do we want to try and go for the win with 8 to go, or go for the win with 2 to go? So it's that, what card do you play? It's all about playing your cards right and making the right decision and putting yourself in the position you need to be in to get this win. You can't win the race with 9 to go making a dangerous move. But if you play your cards right, you could probably put yourself in position to get the win closer to the end of the race.
Well, man, we have a lot of guys that are lapped down looking at it right now.
That was a big wreck. I mean, like Travis brought up, drivers are in a position where they're having to realize their fast repairs are gone. So they're being put in a position where they need to fix their truck, probably using the traditional repair, and that takes time depending on how severe the damage was. What was interesting was there was only a couple of hard hits there. Zach Hillman was one of the harder hits, very hard impact into the inside wall there.
Fast repairs, so unfortunately, he said
He's
he wants
out.
to run the full season with a new sponsor, so hopefully we'll see him back next week at Las Vegas. As he said, he has most of the tracks for the season, if not all, so that'll be good. We have a lot of the old faces coming back, and it just so far been a great race. Honestly, I have no complaints at all. It's Daytona. We go to Las Vegas, it's going to be a lot different.
I'm coming flat chat, Nick.
It's going to be a different racing experience. Of course, that's how it is in NASCAR in real life. This is a completely different animal compared to what we'll see probably through most of the season. Like I said, the next couple of races, we got Las Vegas and then Dover. 3 completely different tracks that these drivers are going to be experiencing over the next 3 weeks with Daytona, Las Vegas, and then Dover. So it's going to be a mindset of just shaking off this race, or if you're the winner or you get a strong finish here, using this race's momentum to carry into kind of the actual start of the season. That's how I always look at Daytona when I'm running. It's like, okay, Daytona is the start of the season, but the real start of the season, in my opinion, is when you get to those tracks that are more consistent with what you're going to be running throughout the season. So allow your mile and a half and your mile tracks.
But what kind of confidence boost is winning?
Money, the money, the point lead. Well, actually, can't say the point lead because last season we saw Seth not even win the Daytona the first race, and he came out with the point lead because it's just a stage. So, but yeah, winning it's bragging rights. You won Daytona. Okay, you got the first win out. It's a long season, so I mean you're gonna have points races, not win if you're in a chase. So.
No, like I said, I mean it's more of a confidence. Anything. It's not so much of what you're going to carry in later into.
Well, the biggest thing, the biggest thing this season is that if we're gonna have this consistent of guys, you finish 20th, you're losing a lot more points than you would have last season. You know, we would get at most 20, averaging like 14. So as we go back green, 11 to go.
That's correct. 11 to go here, the 3 and a 109. I'm sorry, 106. Get a nice jump in the field there. Get back nose to tail. We've seen those two trucks work very well together over the course of this race.
I'd say the only team that has as we little contact, consistently stayed up there all race has been a 95 and a 7. They are teammates. Blue Collar Racing, so Eric Andrews and Jason Odom.
Yeah, like I said, you're seeing this is the stage of the race where you've probably spent a lot of the earlier laps getting situated with your teammates, trying to figure out where they are, and now you're trying to get that run ready as they come through turns 3 and 4. They know 10 laps to go is on the horizon, and that time is running out to make this run. Think about it like Men in Black. They have their hand on that red button as we have another incident on the front stretch. 24 involved, bunch of trucks as we're back under yellow at 10 laps to go.
This is not good at all, man. Just talking about how they were racing good. Looks like the 18 may came up. I'm gonna have to go check that one. That was not good.
And what did I just say before we restarted here? Will the good fortune of the front of the field continue? You could call it the commentator's curse, but that was the question. These wrecks are getting closer and closer to the front of the field. We've seen the top 6 or 7 generally escape some of the earlier incidents, and now we're seeing it creep closer and closer.
Man, it's gonna be wild. Now we're gonna have one more shot. That's basically it. And it's gonna be wild, but that's on the 18. Yes, unfortunately, Carl, you've been doing a great job all race long. You did come up a little bit and got into the 24 and got hooked. So it is on you. Sorry to have to call it like that, but you've been running well all race. It's just one little, problem there. That's it. '47 will be the lucky dog.
Find that route to the top 5 to have a chance at the win, because as well as as well as I do, in order to have a good chance without the leaders wrecking, you have to be at least in that second or third row of trucks to feel like you have a shot to win at Daytona. I mean, just the way the field moves, the way the pack rotates, it's almost like a 2x2 roadblock. You would have to form a third line in that case for one of those guys back there. So they feel that pressure. They know what they have to do now that we're going to, looks like we're going to be restarting with about 7 laps to go. Those guys really understand. They're starting to feel that pressure now as this race coming to a close.
I think if I'm... Go ahead, Cody.
Oh, no, my bad. Sorry, I just coming in and out, just looking at things. Yeah, a lot of pressure, like Travis said. But what's just some notables up there that have gotten in wrecks? Bill Harkins. I mean, how? Like, he's in 6th place. Look at that. I mean, there's some guys we haven't even talked about. I think Eric Heater. He's with Miller Motorsports. He's up there. I haven't talked about him. But then you see the guys that have been up there all race. The 3, EJ Deal, Chad Oxley, who made his way back up after the wreck. Jason, like we've been talking about. And then even Eric Andrews is still there, so gonna be interesting to see what happens.
It's gonna be very interesting to see how this race shakes out. Like I said, we're at the point where this race is in the driver's hands. It is in their position to try and determine what kind of race they want to have. Do they want to have this race go green and make it so it's a race where they actually have an opportunity to go for the win with 2 to go, 1 to go? Or are they going to try and push that issue? I mean, we're all racers here. I mean, I was a racer for 2 seasons here, got a championship, got a bunch of wins, but at the end of the day, you also have to look at that big picture of, does making the move now and possibly, say, swinging out or kicking the car out toward a certain lane and things of that nature now, is that going to be a beneficial move with XYZ number of laps to go? I mean, this is kind of anyone's race now. It's just anything can happen. I think it's in everyone's best interest probably to stay green if they really want to try and get that
Raise
win.
it out. Yeah. I mean, we have 15 guys on a lead lap. Like
Still better than last year.
Yeah, like you said, last year we only had, what, 4? 5? 4? So,
Now, going back to something I brought up earlier, since we're probably just outside the 2 to green range, what is interesting, remember I brought up about the incidents there? Yeah, I think we've already eclipsed that. I'm kind of just skimming the incident totals for this race. Coming into about halfway, we were looking pretty good in terms of total number of incidents. Now I think we're approaching, I'd ballpark it to say some of the higher end rate.
And guys, if you guys please can stay in Discord after the race, we're going to be doing interviews on Twitch. So you guys hold in, talk about the race, and even the race winner and the top 3. So just do me that favor. And we're going to look like we're going to have 6 to go. So with that being said, try to race it out because the next caution will end it. So we don't want it to end under caution. So just race cleanly, please. Be mindful of everybody around you and have fun.
Hey Cody, can you give me UL on super slow? Thank you.
47, it says you gotta go by me.
Aware of where he is on the track in terms of who's in front of him, who's behind him, where to make moves. I'm very impressed with how he's running, so I'm going to go with Jason Odom to try and make a run here. And he's in that beautiful spot right there. He's in that 3rd place spot, which for him can serve 2 purposes. He can block that 106 from coming down and prevent that car from breaking away with the 3. And he's in that 3rd spot. That's a great spot to be in going into this stage of the race. So Jason Odom for me.
How many guys we still got running? Looks like we still have 20 guys running.
Yeah, 20 guys running, about 12 on the lead lap.
Yeah, I guess everybody had to fix their trucks, and yeah, every point, like I said, every point matters. So get Daytona out of the way. If you have a bad race, top 15, take it, move on, man. That's what you got to do. Cause
we were just making some picks here. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to take the 11 to Bill Hart, because you know what, he's kept the nose of his truck clean for most of the race, and here he is up front when it matters, running P6 as we are getting ready to come back to the green.
I'm gonna go out on a limb, and this is a little bit, I'm gonna stretch a little more back, even though we got tough guys up there. I'm gonna go with Eric Andrews in a 95. He's been up there all race. He's still 9th, so we'll see what he can do.
All right, well, let's hang on. Go ahead, Mike.
Pace car is making a hard left turn. The field is back under the control of BJ Deal as we go green. 6 laps to go here at Daytona. 2x2x2 going in to the straightaway before turns 1 and 2.
And here they come, as you said, 2x2 coming into the number turn. Are side by side is the number 7 of Jason Odom, giving BJ Deal a huge shove going into the turns 1, coming out of turn 2, trying to clear the 106.
This is exactly what I was talking about when you look at Jason Odom, what I was referring to. Being able to break up that 106 truck into 3, getting in position to make sure he's the one dictating the pace for that 3 truck to maybe put himself in a position where if the 106 wants to make a run, maybe he's forced to work with the 7 instead of his teammate in the 3. We'll see if the 3 decides to swing up, maybe try and pick up him in the 28, or stay low and go for the win by himself.
I'm telling you, you give it a few more laps, you're going to wait and see that this outside line is going to start building its momentum. And the one thing that they really need to keep that outside line going is more trucks. Right now, it's 2-3 trucks versus 6 or 7. The one thing that outside line needs right now is for trucks. And as you see, here we go. We got some trucks sliding up to the outside line.
But as well as you mentioned, it's about getting those trucks to form up. This might be the opportunity they need as the front 2 kind of have trouble keeping up with that 6 As the front two pull away from that 6 truck, the 9 not quite where he needs to be. He needs to close up a little more to keep that line strong. If you want to try and make that high line work, this is your time to get that strength as the low line gets a little weaker. It looks like they're all kind of packing it together going through 3 and 4.
As we're 2x2, 1st through 8th, looks like 9th and 10th have fallen off just a little bit. So here we are sitting 2x2, 1st through 8th, as the 3 and the 108 are leading the field right now, coming to the finish line. They are neck and neck as we come 4 laps ago.
2 trucks that have been working together all race are now working side by side, trying to get the win with each other, with the 7 working with the 3, and 2 trucks on the high side. We have hard crash for that 106 truck, and they're wrecking at the front. That collects a lot of the front of the field.
And that is going to be the race right there, as they had 4 laps to go, so that looks like it's going to be the race.
Just power through
as
that,
long as...
no problem.
Which he was not. The 106 Oxidine was the leader at the time of the incident. Right now, the number 3 of BJ Deal can maneuver and limp his truck back to the finish. He will be the winner here.
We will have to see when they cross the finish line where they put. But right now, the 6 looks like he's the front guy, and Bill Harkins second. Will?
That's what I'm seeing right now. That's what I'm looking at.
Oh, yes.
Visually, but it's about the score. It's about the scoring and looking at everything, and that was just a racing situation there. That's just
wow.
Going for trying to go for the win on at 4 laps to go. And these things happen, especially at Daytona. You're trying to go for that win so quickly, as opposed to maybe settling in and trying to find the right opportunity.
I'm blown.
As you guys were saying, Daytona, anything can happen.
Go ahead, 91. Go. I'm blown up.
Oh, the 11 blew up.
So now we got to figure out. Like I said, the big thing we have to figure out is scoring and looking at how exactly everyone's going to be scored here in after this huge crash at the front, which again, as I brought up earlier, man, that concern is what I had going into this restart of, was the front of the field, was their luck going to run out in avoiding these wrecks? And I suspected that was going to be the case. That's what we saw there, where that wreck happened right in the front of those leaders.
And right now, as you guys said, looks like the number 6 of Mark Brannigan is being scored as the leader with 3 laps to go. More than likely, this will be the race. If I'm not mistaken, it is 3 laps to go right now. That's just the nature of Daytona, though. Anything can happen at any given time. And right there, it happened. As we said earlier, the broadcaster's curse there. The front pack was very clean and clear for most of the race, and right there towards the end, all of the leaders had wiped each other out, and it was the top 8 pack that we were talking about that had broken away from the field. And now here we are with the number 6 of Mark Brannigan, who I believe was running 9th or 10th at the time of the wreck, who now looks like he is your champion here at Daytona.
It's just crazy to see this race shake out that way. I mean, again, we know Daytona is very unpredictable, and just looking at the mix of people in the top 5 and who's not in the top 5 and top 10, it's a very
Guys, if you have to tow, please tow. I'm, sorry. Getting pushed around, I'm not going to sit here and try to clear everybody's black flag. Looked like Mark, well, look at that. Get the first winner of All-Star Racing Series Season 3. So, congratulations on that.
Hold on, Mark.
Anybody needs black clears that are still waiting for black clears, please. 47 I'm trying to clear black, but it says you don't have any. But guys, that was great racing. Like I said, I'm gonna pull guys in to talk about the racing and stuff like that. 33 guys, we got some runs in. Next week will be Las Vegas, so hopefully all you guys turn out and keep on running with us. Mark, I will get you the $10 in iRacing credits right after this.
Repeat P3. Scoring has just moved him up to P3. So a P3 for him is an excellent way to start the year off. Now, one of my thumbs down guys has to go to the number 7 of Jason Odom. Jason Odom, right now, I believe, is one of, if not the favorite for the champion right now, and it looks like he's going to have at best 12th place finish here at Daytona.
Well, think of Jason. Do you want to pull him in?
Oh, let's go on ahead.
Oh, wrong channel. There we go. Hey, Jason, what's going on? Got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, looks like you had a great race going. You and your teammate were running well, and just sucks there at the end. But how do you like the racing?
It's what it is, man. You know, you try to just stay out of trouble, but you know, at the end, something's going to happen. So, but it's fun. I appreciate the league. It's a lot of fun.
I appreciate you coming out. Mike, Travis, you got any remarks for Mr. Odom?
The only thing that I have, Jason, just watching you out there, it looked like for the race, you were one of the commanding trucks. And did you feel like as you guys at the end of that race that front pack was starting to get a little unsettling?
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake I made, I tried to pit there to take on enough fuel to make it to the end, but I've been burned on fuel, and I wanted to make sure I had enough. And then this time there was a lot of cautions, so we'll try it again next week.
All right, well, hopefully, we go back to Las Vegas, so hopefully you'll run out of fuel coming to the checkered flag like you did last week. But
yeah, no doubt. No, I appreciate it. You guys do a good job.
Thank you, Jason, for coming out.
All right, guys. So with that, looks like we got
you want to pull
capturing
Condis in here, 3rd place.
Sure, bring him on down here.
Terry Condis.
What's up, buddy?
3rd place.
Yeah.
Very solid run for you. What was your take on everything out there on the track? What were you seeing?
It was a good race, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was a little hectic at times, but other than that, I mean, it's Daytona. That's all I can say.
I mean, it's just like driving in 5 o'clock traffic at 200 miles an hour. It's totally fine.
Yeah, something like that.
Going into Las Vegas, what do you hope to accomplish? You had a strong run here, had a great championship run. You want to keep that momentum up going to next week?
Yes, sir. I'm actually very happy to go to Las Vegas. I do enjoy that track a lot, and I'm hoping that I have a good opportunity at that track to really go up in the points.
Awesome. Anything from you guys?
Terry, Travis, how you doing, man?
Travis, what's up, buddy?
No, hold on. I was just curious. So, you've been in the All-Star racing here for quite some time, as just about as long as the rest of us. And how was racing in that? I know it kind of touches on what Mike had asked, but just as a driver to driver, how much fun was that? I mean, that was the largest field in All-Star racing history. How much fun was that to compete in and bring home a 3rd place finish?
It was pretty amazing, to be honest with you, to see that many cars. It was very enjoyable to race with. A lot of good racers out there. The opportunities were there. I kind of sat back a little bit. We, with the teams set up this year, we were working on other things. And it didn't work out the way we had planned it, but at the same time, I mean, it worked out for me.
Well, sometimes you got to take the reins and go ahead.
10-4.
Well, thanks for coming out, Terry. We'll see you next week. And I just want to add a little tidbit to your note. We got the most drivers this week, and we had the most viewers at 24 on stream. So good racing. Yeah, good racing by everybody. And thanks for coming out. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, too. Thank you for hosting.
No problem. Who else we got? Who else?
Well, not too sure. I mean, I don't think we've really had a chance to click.
Well, unfortunately, the mic of the winner is broken, so we can talk to Willie, who finished 3rd. Or 2nd, actually, 2nd.
Yeah, we can do 1 or 2 more interviews. Let's go.
Willie, how you doing today, sir? Got a copy? Oh, maybe? Willie, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got a copy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you finished P2 at Daytona. How does it make you feel?
I think I'm tired of super speedway racing.
Well, hey, it was a rough one. A lot of drivers, but you came out almost getting the win. But you finished second, so you gotta be happy about that.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good time. I'm glad you guys let me come out here. A big wreck there at the end, and somehow I made it through there, and was trying to save the motor, but I ended up P2.
You guys got any questions for Willie?
Just a solid run, man. Fantastic run. Hope to see you carry that momentum to next week at Las Vegas.
Again, man, it just feels like I've been racing Las Vegas and going in super speedways over and over again this past week. So I think I got a handle.
It's one of those things where you just feel like you're beating a dead horse. It's just over and over and over, and you can't wait for it with.
I guess practice makes perfect, right?
Well, hopefully next week you can have just as strong as a run, and we get the same amount of guys out, as we did this week, and we'll see what happens. But you definitely came out close to getting a win, but definitely, good finish.
I appreciate it, man. Like I said, I appreciate you guys letting me join the league, and Cody, we've raced together and other stuff, and it's been a blast racing with you. So this is a start to a good thing, I think.
Well, I'll be happy to see you next week. So enjoy the week off and gear up for Vegas.
Absolutely, man. Have a good one.
Yep. Who else do we got in here? Who else? Carl Handwork. Yeah, I guess
Here, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna step away for a minute. I will return before the end of the stream. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back.
All right. Carl, you got a copy? You got a copy, Carl?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, after all the adversity you had to go through, even getting EOL, you brought it home fourth. I don't think you're too upset about that, right?
Well, considering I just dove into turn 1 there when I seen everybody wrecking, I was just hoping the yellow wasn't coming out. So no.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a great way to start the season off, being that it's a 20 race season, so you got to start off on the right foot and definitely get the points when you can. So coming back after all the problems, adversity you had to go through, definitely helps.
Well, in Daytona is kind of a crapshoot, so you're just hoping you don't get involved in something, and I got involved in something, still got it in there, so.
Well, take it when you can get it, right?
Absolutely.
And Mike, you got anything to add? Got a copy, Mike?
I'm actually in the middle of getting some graphics ready for the post race stuff, so sorry for not being as engaging, but fantastic run out there. Good to see you have a strong run. Look forward to hearing from you and seeing you at Vegas.
Thanks a lot. Definitely look forward to it.
No problem. All right, well, I'm just going to go run up there and thank everybody for coming out real quick, and then I'll come back down and just talk to you briefly.
Oh.
All right. All right, guys. And not everybody's in here, but I do want to thank everybody for coming out. Daytona's Daytona, so hopefully no hard feelings go over to Vegas, where it's completely different. But I do appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming out and being the biggest field in All-Star Racing history so far. So I appreciated it, and great racing, regardless. Did I just talk to no one?
No, we're all here, buddy.
No one answered me after I said that. Oh my god. No comment. I was like, fucking crickets in here. All right, thanks, guys. Yeah, no, I looked at a lot of things. A lot of things were just people just didn't, just not really making bonehead moves. Just it's Daytona. I mean, what more can I say? We got through it. We go to Vegas next week, and then Dover, and then so on. So hopefully see you guys there, and you guys made it through Daytona. So be happy about that.
I can't believe I came back and finished 9th after all that, man. That just.
Yeah, you were 2 laps down. Yeah, two laps down after getting a freak DQ. So yeah,
I salvaged that pretty well.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys definitely.
You might have scared me a few times, but I wouldn't have minded to have a beer from you.
I had more damage on my car than I thought I did, man. I just stayed on those restarts. I could not